All right, let's start off today with some local governance. And I'm going to be talking about what the city of Flagstaff is doing, but I think this pertains to everybody who has a local government, which is everybody.
Especially those with a charter that they're trying to change all the time.
Yeah, but this really pertains to just, I'm a little frustrated because I think it almost seems to me, and I don't trust these politicians anymore. I think we got a lot of slimy politicians all over the place. It almost seems to me like they're trying to pull one over on us. And
I think they are.
I think they are too.
After reading this again for the second time.
So this is a warning to everybody who has a city council, a town council, but really a county board or a state legislator or a federal government like Congress all the way up to the president. So that's all of us, is that you just got to watch them all the time because they will do whatever they can to push more authority into their hands. Right. And I think that a perfect example of this is the city of Flagstaff and this ridiculous 20, if you count the
20
hospital.
questions.
20 questions on a ballot when we're all really busy, city council and city manager, and you put out this crap that is almost... I can't understand what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, it's so much legal jargon.
Yeah, I can't understand what you're talking about.
They do a section in the voter pamphlet thing that kind of puts it into somewhat of layman's terms. But even still, it's a lot of like focus and concentration to just try and kind of get, and then you try and read between the lines sometimes because they make it sound great, like this is a good idea. And when you dig deeper, you discover that maybe not so much. Yeah, and spoiler alert, I'm voting yes on 5 out of these 20.
5 out of 20, and I'll probably be close to that. But it frustrates me because local government impacts your life more than any other branch of government. Everybody knows what's going on in Congress. Everybody knows what Biden's doing, but most people would be hard-pressed to identify more than one member of their local council. You know, you might know your mayor. And I even question that. You certainly don't know your school board members. You probably don't know your county board of supervisors. You might not even know your state representative, which you have 2 of. Yeah. You might not even know your state senator, which you have 1 of.
I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah, I know. We all
got
are.
A mailer.
We all are.
Yesterday for something, and it had a picture of one of the city council members here in Flagstaff, one of the newer ones.
Yeah, and you're like, who the hell's that?
I didn't even know what that person looked like.
Yeah, who is this person?
Like I wouldn't know that person.
Yeah.
I know the name sort of, but I don't think I've seen her.
All right, so I'm going to get into this, and I want everybody to stay tuned, even though if you don't live in the city of Flagstaff, because I think you'll be surprised at what I think is politicians and bureaucrats trying to push one over on us and give themselves more authority, which they're very good at. And once you give them more authority, you never get it back. You never get this stuff back. And this, like I said, echoes right up the chain. Because remember, all these local politicians, their dream is to become the next state legislator, and then they all think they're going to be governor and president and member of Congress someday. And some of them, that's how they get there. I mean, you look at the Speaker of the House debacle that happened recently. Most of those speakers started at the county, or the state legislature, and they move up the chain and they never get out of government. So let's get to all that. And if you got any comments, always love hearing from you. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Hour 2 of the show, I got Mark Howitt, who's away on a big bike trip. So we're going to talk with him. He's probably just bursting at the seams with stuff he wants to talk about. So we'll get you caught up on some of the national and international news that's going on as well. All right. Don't replace your old roof before you talk to Dave at Fresh Roof of Northern Arizona. You may be able to save up to 90% of the cost of a new asphalt shingle roof. Angela and I had a couple roofs replaced last year. Very, 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 very expensive. Inflation is just like, poof. I mean, $25,000 for new roofs. Fresh Roof of Northern Arizona rejuvenates your existing roof with a revolutionary, all-natural, non-toxic, sustainable treatment. It can last up to 6 years, and you can save up to 90% of the cost of a new roof. Call Dave, who is an experienced home inspector, for a free roof inspection at 928-301-9404. Maybe before the snow flies, right? 928-301-9404. That's Fresh Roof of Northern Arizona, 928-301-9404. Or go to freshroofofnaz.com. Okay. Proposition 461.
I'm voting yes on that. that's requiring the minimum signatures required to get on the ballot.
Okay, let's talk about this for a minute. The state of Arizona, I believe, has like a 5% thing you have to get. So let me give you some history. When I started getting involved with local city politics in 2010, it was helping a guy who was running for mayor, former council member Joe Howie, and worked on his campaign. And there was maybe in the previous election, because elections used to be in the spring, and it wasn't with the general election. It was May?
It was in May.
June. So it was very focused on local. And I thought that was a good idea because then you're not on page 83 of the ballot,
right. And there's
behind
not the
president, senator.
With the ads and stuff for president and senators and governors and all this stuff. It's like really focused on local stuff.
It used to be very focused on local. Now, some of you still have off-year elections. I think Prescott. I think you just had your mayoral and council election there. And I think that's a good idea because the state changed it that we're going to have to all conform with the November election, I believe. And then it got overruled and then cities could go back. Flagstaff never went back and a lot of places didn't go back. So I don't think there's that focus there. What also happened as soon as they switched it to November election is everybody's out voting. Everybody's an expert on everything, and everybody wants to vote for president, senator, and Congress, right? So I think that maybe 8,000 to 10,000 people were voting in Flagstaff, for example, in 2010, 2012.
In the local.
In the local election, yeah. And then you throw in, we changed the date to November. Now all of a sudden there's 25,000 people voting or something like that. Just giving you some top-of-the-head figures. So you have to take 5% of that to get signatures. So what happened was, I think first time I ran we needed 700, 800 signatures. And then all of a sudden people are having to get 2,000, 3,000 signatures in some places to run for local public office, which is more signatures than is required if you run for Congress. Because Congress are only taking a percentage of the party people that voted. Local elections are nonpartisan except for Tucson for some reason. They just vote all Democrat, and the city's been falling apart for years, by the way. And it's a much higher number. So it becomes really hard to get in and get on the ballot. Right. So they're proposing...
Because these are smaller campaigns. They don't have money to hire people and things like that.
Exactly.
So it's hard to get that many good, valid signatures.
I think state law says it's 5% or 1,000, which is ever less for minimum signature requirements. If your city or town's not doing that, I think it's probably a good idea. So that way, it's like if you're in a bigger city, it's 1,000, which you'll need more than that, of course, for bad signatures, or 5%. You have, let's say, Camp Verde. I don't know. Camp Verde's got 10,000 people. Is there 2,000 people voting in an election? Okay, well, you can get on the ballot with 100 and something signatures, right? So I think that's a good idea. So I voted yes on that.
Yeah,
and I think you did as well. I think that's a good change. Then this is what you got to watch for whenever your city's like, because in Arizona we have a city manager form of government, council manager government. It's kind of like it's the corporate model. So picture a corporation, and the board chooses a CEO or chairman of the board, and they choose a CEO. The CEO runs the corporation. The CEO runs the city,
like day-to-day stuff.
In all cities in Arizona, we have weak mayors, for example, not strong mayors. In like New York City, the strong mayor, this is Adams right now. In Chicago, they have a strong mayor. They run the administration. They run, they can tell the police chief, the mayor can call the police chief. In your local city governments, the charter cities, and generally all cities in Arizona and towns, there's that disconnect. You can't direct staff except for the city manager and the city attorney. Those are the only two positions that when I was on council, I could call up the city attorney and say, blah, 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 or the city manager. May disagree and then say, well, I got to go to council for that. But you can actually have that relationship. So city managers are very, very strong. Very strong. And they most of them never come from these communities. They're like, it's like a circus. They come from other states.
They get imported.
They're here a few years
other places.
And then they're gone. So I would say my preface here is I don't want to give them any more power.
Yeah.
Because they're not really ingrained in the community. So what's this one?
That's taking letting the city manager like a formal solicitation for whatever.
For buying things.
For bidding stuff.
Yeah.
They can spend up to $50,000 now without council approval.
Okay.
They want to change it to $100,000 without approval.
No. Absolutely not. Bring it before. I know that they're going to argue inflation and all this. I don't want them having the authority, the city manager, to spend any more money without going
approval.
to a public process through the council, of which I can go down there. City manager, look, I'll get to that in a second. I don't even know who our city manager is. Not one person from the city of Flagstaff reached out to me to come talk about these propositions
or explain them better.
So they're going to listen to me when I say, I don't want you spending $83,000, city manager,
or
whoever you are.
$99,999.
Yeah, so 462 voted no. And that's, you got to make sure that they have no matter what town you're in, make sure that their spending capability is very, very, very crunched down. Mm-hmm. You know, my take on government, starve them of funds, because the more money they get, the more dangerous they become, right? Okay, question number 463. Residency requirements. Big red flag. Big red flag.
Yeah.
Huge.
As of now, the head of departments, city clerk, treasurer, city attorney are required to live in the city.
Yeah.
So they want to remove that requirement so that they can live, I guess, anywhere else.
Yes.
In the city or anywhere else.
Yeah,
so
anywhere.
So I'm voting no on that.
Next thing you know, they're dialing it in remotely.
Yeah.
You know? No. Look, on a local level, you want the people who are on top to be living in the city, because the impacts
living with the rules that they
exactly. I say this about, I always get frustrated with local school boards as well. It seems like this is a breeding ground for people who have ambitions of running for higher office, and they don't even have kids in the school. Or maybe they don't even have kids, period.
Right.
That frustrates me, because you have no skin in the game. You're telling me what's best for my kid when you don't even have a kid in this school.
Yeah.
So same thing with this.
And I understand that the housing is expensive in the city, and you might not, maybe you want to have a ranch or something like that outside the city and
get a different job.
Okay, fine. But I can see that going haywire, and all of a sudden, like you said, they're not even close. And I mean, if there's no requirement for them to live here, then what stops them from moving out of state or something? Who knows?
Exactly. A city of this size, they can find housing. And believe me, the directors in these positions, we're talking about the head of, streets or the landfill, whatever, public works, I don't know, or the deputy city managers. If you don't live in a city, deputy city manager, then maybe you shouldn't be the deputy city manager.
Right.
And you know what? You probably get paid well into the six figures. Sorry about that. I think that this is a hell no. Look, maybe in a very small town or city, I could see that you have trouble hiring someone full time. Some cities actually have the lawyer, the city attorney. Mm-hmm. The city attorney does multiple cities. Okay, I can kind of get that, because you don't have enough money to hire someone full time, and it's kind of outsourced. But not in a place like Flagstaff, not in a place like Prescott, not in a place like Phoenix, right? And by the way, on a national level, you've got these people running for Congress that they are not required to live in the district. I think they're supposed to live in the state, or so they claim, but they don't even have to live in the district. No. And I think that's wrong too. I think you should be living in if you're going to run for, fine, move there.
Why fight for all this stuff that you don't?
Yeah,
it doesn't even
impact you.
It doesn't affect you at all.
If you can't vote for yourself, I got a problem with that. Mm-hmm, if you can't even vote for yourself. So yeah, for Flagstaff voting, I'm a no on 463, 464. Procurement methods. Anytime you hear something procure and spending, I'm like, no.
Okay, so as of now, they have the bidding process, and so then they put it out to bid.
Okay,
if they want to procure something, and they'll take the lowest bidder, right? Yeah. Fix this or whatever, and this would allow them to take any offer. They can pick their offer. Like, it doesn't mean that they have to go to the bidder of the. It would change the way that they don't do the bidding system anymore.
It depends.
I can kind of get that, because they say, well, maybe we want to go with this person who has more experience. Like, maybe they cost more, but they have more experience.
And a better track record.
Okay, I can see that. But I can also see the...
how can they screw this up?
The cronyism that happens when you allow them to take whatever offer.
No, I'm a no on that. I'm a no on that, because I just don't... They did no outreach.
I get the intent. It just seems like it could be ripe for... problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Proposed 465 proposed amendment relating to leases and sale of real city properties.
Yeah, that's actually similar to the previous one in that that's with property.
Yeah.
So it means that they can sell or lease property to someone other than the highest bidder.
Yeah.
So rather than going with the highest bidder that, well, they offered the most money for this. Well, no, we can sell it to anyone.
Okay, yeah. No, I can
So
see.
I'm a no on
I
that
can see.
too.
I can see a problem with that. It's all of a sudden,
Exactly.
I got this nice drill press for 83 cents.
Yeah,
You know, because I'm a buddy and I knew it was available. Nobody. No, that's kind of like.
Well, this
that's
is
what
for
that,
property.
You know,
this is for land and property.
Whatever, same
Yeah.
thing. I was going to say it's like, and again, they didn't take the time to explain it, so I'm not going to take time to figure out what the hell they're talking about too long. It's kind of like, you know, some big box stores, they used to give or sell the damaged merchandise to the employees like real cheap.
Yeah.
Until, you know, some employees start like, let me
Oops,
take
I
a hammer to that. Yeah, so
I
then
didn't
it
mean to
gets-
drop it.
I don't know if it's the same equivalence there or not. Okay.
Well, that's the way I understand it.
Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
they don't have to sell it to the highest bidder. They can sell it to someone other than that, which that
Yeah.
could be anyone. So.
Okay. So what do you got here? 466?
Yeah, that's similar to 464. I'm a no on that
Okay,
also.
no. Okay, 467.
Too much power to the city manager. Again, that
Okay.
means they can establish their own rules and regulations for the personnel and all that. I'm a no.
Oh yeah, if you ever hear the city bureaucrats saying we need to have more power so we can establish everything outside the public light, outside the city council meetings, just vote no on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They don't need more power and authority.
Next one, like right now, the city council does stuff by ordinance, which requires 2 meetings, 2 readings to enact.
Yeah.
Well, they want to change it to require only a resolution, which is only 1 meeting. So they do a resolution, they pass it, we're done.
Yeah.
To borrow money.
That's Prop 468
So this
for
is-
Flagstaff voters.
So when they need to borrow money, they want to just be able to do that with a
Of course they
resolution
do. Of
versus
course
an
they do.
ordinance. So no.
We live in a country that is the most indebted nation in the history of planet Earth ever. No, you do not want to give bureaucrats more authority. Normally, you got to do things in 2 reads. So
They wanna change it to
you
1.
have a council meeting. Oh, we're going to borrow $4 million, whatever the heck the number is, and then you have a resting period. And 2 weeks later, a week later, you're voting on it again. It's like it gives the public time to be aware of what these politicians and bureaucrats are doing. No, they need to have a couple reads on these things so that the public has a chance to chime in.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right. I'd love to hear from you. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. That's talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. It is Tuesday. And if you're listening back to the podcast, it might not be Tuesday. It is also Halloween. But once again, it could be November 1st by the time you listen to the podcast. Taco Tuesday going on up at Sportsman's Bar and Grill, voted best sports bar in Flagstaff many, many, many years in a row. You got game 4 coming up. I think the Diamondbacks lost game 3. It's 2-1. Mm-hmm. So pretty sure that they'll have those games.
It's shaping up to be a decent World Series so far.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, head over to Sportsman's Bar and Grill. Get some great tacos for Taco Tuesday. If you think about it, on Wednesday, it is Wing Wednesday. Every Wednesday, starting from lunch on into dinner, where you can get half-price wings. Phenomenal deal. I talk to them up at Sportsman's all the time. I said, you're doing this. This is crazy. These wings are like gold, be careful here. Don't go out of business because you're doing half-price wings every Wednesday. No, but they do a phenomenal job. Lots of flavors. Get the ultra hot one if you want to burn it'll melt you. Sportsman's Bar and Grill, great drink specials up there as well. Just north of downtown Flagstaff, right there in the Basha Shopping Center. Back in a minute. Hey, if you're listening to the podcast, please give us a great review and also give us a comment in there. If you're not listening to the podcast, subscribe. Look up The Jeff Orbit Show. Also on video, Rumble, follow us there, and on YouTube, subscribe. We appreciate everyone who's done that.
You're listening to The Jeff Orbit Show.
Last year, Angela and I switched over, past couple years really, to Eric Boatner Allstate Agency, home policy, auto policies, and saved a ton of money. They've done a great job. Eric and Lisa Boatner, they've done a great job for us. Like I said, saved money plus great customer service. If you're looking for home, auto, motorcycle, RV, off-road vehicles, boats, business owners, life insurance policies, call Eric Boatner, call Lisa Boatner at Allstate Agency at 928-774-8722. Allstate Eric Boatner, Allstate Agency, 928-774-8722, 928-774-8722. People get frustrated because they don't. This happens all over the place, and we're talking about Flagstaff election for 19 amendments to the city charter, right? But really, this is a warning for all of you. Watch what your local politicians are doing, and this is the easiest group to watch because you run into them at the grocery store, right? Now, people get frustrated because they're like, I don't get to decide what happens in, let's say, Flagstaff because I live in the county. I live in Donny Park. I live in Kachina. I live in Munns Park. Prescott has the same issue. There's a lot of very unincorporated areas where people have moved into, and they're like, but I use these places. It's where I buy my goods and services. I even have a business there or a rental property. And I'm getting, and they're making decisions.
We used to live in the county, and I know it was frustrating that, man, I go to the city every day. I get my gas and my groceries, and I can't even vote for, this or that or the mayor or anything like that.
Yeah.
I know, because
we get to make a decision.
I went through a couple of years of that too.
But you don't live in a city.
Yeah. I don't think that you should be able to serve on the planning and zoning board or whatever committee for the city.
Yeah.
I just don't think so. And the problem is that it could be exploited, and then you get someone from not in Donny Park or not in Kachina,
some activist,
someone way far out.
So you have some whack job activist
that never comes here.
That never comes here.
And then they want to change stuff.
Or we see this a lot in our HOA.
The second homeowners.
Oh, the Phoenix people. Oh, it should be this way, and you're like just trying to like raise a family and stuff, and they come up with some stupid law that they not law, zoning, HOA,
some kind of rule,
whatever.
Right.
And next thing you know, you're dealing with these bozos on the HOA, right? I'm dealing with that with our HOA. Yeah, we got a bunch of bozos on there.
You get half of the homes or
I
whatever.
I shouldn't say
here
that. They're going to send me another letter.
They don't even live here full time.
Yeah.
They barely come here more than, a couple of weeks and weekends.
We do
or
it
whatever.
this way in Scottsdale. We'll go back to Scottsdale.
And then they want to change stuff for people that are here all the time. I get it. Yeah.
So annoying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we should have like for the second homeowners, is in the HOA. I'm diverting here. Should be like you get like an eighth vote. and those big conglomerates that bought up all the rentals. The one with the pool up there on the hill.
Stuff, yeah.
It's like what?
Yeah.
Oh, we get 800 votes or whatever. I don't know what the number is, but it's like, okay. All right. Anyway, if you don't live in your town or city, you don't get to decide what happens there. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So I'm voting no. That's Prop 469 and Flagstaff, Prop 470. Here's another one. Watch when they say, well, we want to increase the threshold
of
money we can borrow.
They don't need to get voter approval to spend more than $1 million. No.
You all, pay for the taxes and stuff for all this crap, right? And they want to just cut you out of the loop and say, "Oh,
no, we know better.
We know better. We're so smart. I went to school for this stuff, Jeff. Come on." All right, we'll get back to more of this and more warnings from your local government that you better keep a closer eye on all of them. And I'd love your comments. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Because of this and many other factors, including a government on the federal level that spends $2 trillion more than they have every freaking year and has sent $113 billion to Ukraine and God knows what else, right? They're out of control.
I don't want to know, really.
They're out of control. The national debt is out of control. The deficit spending is out of control. The printing of money is out of control. That's why Angela and I, for years, have bought physical gold and silver. Call Justin and his team at Desert Gold Exchange before inflation maybe shoots up even more. I don't have a crystal ball. You should always seek a financial planner or legal or financial counsel other than me. I can just tell you what I do because I don't want you to lose any money. Angela and I have done this like for a long holding process where we buy physical gold and silver really as an insurance policy. Call Desert Gold Exchange, Arizona-based company, 888-852-4343, 888-852-4343. Put Desert Gold Exchange to the test as far as their pricing. I think you'll find they're the lowest prices out there because they keep that overhead low. Again, Desert Gold Exchange at 888-852-4343. Back in a minute. Hey, if you're listening to the podcast, please give us a great review and also give us a comment in there. If you're not listening to the podcast, subscribe. Look up The Jeff Oravits Show. Also on video, Rumble, follow us there, and on YouTube, subscribe. We appreciate everyone who's done that. This portion of the show is brought to you by Kim Dawson at Nova Home Loans.
This is The Jeff Oravits Show.
All right, welcome back. Mark Howitt in hour 2 of the show. Get you caught up on what's going on statewide, nationally, internationally, and maybe even in outer space. I don't know. Why not, right?
Sure.
I just thought it was important today. I know this is really a very Flagstaff-specific issue. I know a lot of you have voted already on these 19 charter amendments, but I think it echoes into towns and cities throughout Arizona and really throughout the country. Really got to watch what's happening at your local level. And we've tried to stress that on this show for 7+ years. That impacts your life more than anything. It really does.
You actually have a say in this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you're
a congressman, we're a senator.
You're a joke.
You can write every letter you want, but I mean, at least you feel like you have a say in the voting process.
You have somewhat of a say, and you might run into one of these people somewhere. I got to tell you, I'm really frustrated with the place where I vote, which is the city of Flagstaff. Not on a personal level. This isn't like I'm personally offended that you didn't reach out to me, because nobody deserves that. You know, I don't deserve to be reached out to by the mayor or the city council or any of the upper staff at the city versus any of you out there. My frustration is not that they didn't reach out to me personally, but that they didn't reach out to you through me. Does that make sense? Because here we have a show that's been in existence for 7 years now, and we reach a lot of people. And, you know, I'm honored to do this. I don't know how this fell into my lap, and, you know, I know people are listening, and I appreciate that, right? Mm-hmm. I'll say no more. But I am offended that nobody from the city of Flagstaff, not one council member, not the mayor, not anyone in upper staff thought that, hey, I think there's a show that reaches some people.
They know there's a show.
Yeah, I know, ridiculous. And this one is very complicated. This smacks to me of, that's why I'm knowing a lot of these too, is because it just smacks to me of slimy politicians at this point.
Hiding behind closed doors.
And forever bureaucrats, right? And I'll send a link to them, and they'll probably not respond, but they should have reached out to whoever's out there who has some input. And there's a couple sources that do exist. They didn't.
Yeah.
No. Not one call. Not one text, nothing.
Like I mentioned before, you read through some of the stuff in this book, and they really slant it to sound like this is a great idea for X, Y, and Z. And if you have even any thought process, like critical thinking,
you're like, what?
If you think, well, you know, what are the ramifications of this passing? Yeah. That you would also vote no on a lot of this
stuff.
Doesn't
the city the size of Flagstaff and other places have some kind of outreach person? That's
they probably do, but it doesn't mean they reach out.
They don't reach out. You know what they do? They do whenever, and this is another great tactic of your small towns and small cities and big cities too, is we're going to have a public outreach meeting. It's going to be at the library at 3:30 p.m. on Monday, right when you got to get your kids. Or
and we're only going to post it on our website.
We're going to post it on the website, and everybody can come in and put their input. So you all show up, right, and you give your input about whatever great plan these genius bureaucrats have, right? And they do like 2 or 3 of these over like a few month period. And then they bring that before the council. It's the bureaucrats, the heads of the department. And they say, well, Councilmember Angela Oravits, we did outreach and we got great feedback from 75% of the people that were there on this, and 25% didn't like it. You find there's 4 people that showed up, and they're probably lobbyists from some, forever inside group or activist type person, not a regular person. And they use that as we got so much public input, and the public loves this. And then, it gets to council, they pass it, and the next thing you know, you're like, what? Where'd this thing come from? Oh, we're so far down the process, Mr. Oravits. We asked for public input, and nobody, people showed up, and you didn't. That's what they do. That's what they do. Instead of going to like where people actually are. Yeah. This is like yesterday I was talking about how Biden and the leftists are pushing the electric cars all the time. Like, stop pushing a car that nobody wants. that you want, right? Stop pushing the crap you want and start doing the stuff that people want. Because the only people
they talk to love that EV.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great idea. They don't talk
to the other 95% of us that don't.
They're like talking to the battery manufacturers or something, right? Same thing on the local level. It's just. Yeah, we got to get in their face a little bit more respectfully. Let's see here.
So 471, they want to be able to issue sales tax backed bonds with no voter approval.
Oh, this is going to turn out great.
Not only no, but H no.
Yeah. And by the way, it's a great time to borrow money as a city at 8% or whatever the hell they're getting on a bond right now.
You're not borrowing money without voter approval.
Yeah, exactly. The feds are running that trouble. They got $1 trillion coming due on treasuries. The Federal Reserve will just buy it from the Treasury and stick it in their pocket. 472.
I have yes on that. Whatever. That's like changing the time period for no.
Yeah, I'm just a no because I didn't explain it to me, and reading it, you bang your head against the wall. Final read on ordinance on the same day as first read. No. Prop 473. Again, trying to pull one over on you.
No.
Do your job. Do 2 reads so people can understand what's going on out there and have an opportunity to say.
Maybe you can't make the first meeting, but you can make the second meeting.
I have seen so many times, and if you've never been to a council meeting, you should at one point in your life go to one, your local town council or city council. I've seen so many times where they do the first read and it passes overwhelmingly, and then it gets out and like, what is this crap? And then 200 people show up in the interim. And by the second read, it's like council members start fleeing because they're politicians, you know, and then it changes the vote because people
they
speak
get
up.
200 emails and 300 people.
Hell no on that. Yeah. Hell no on that.
Okay. The next one I have no also.
Okay.
474?
No 474. 475.
I have not sure, probably no.
Okay, we'll just go no on that. 476.
Yes.
Okay, yes, that's
now,
keeping records.
Yeah, they need to have 3 paper copies. They want to change it to 1 paper and 1 digital.
Okay, 477.
I have no on that.
No. 478.
I got yes. That's just changing it from police judge to magistrate.
Okay, name change. Okay, I'll go yes on that. That's a lame one. Proposed amendment relating to failure to vote. This one's stupid.
I have yes on that. I think I've read it enough times that I
I read it 8 times.
That one was confusing, but I have yes. That's on.
I'm just going to vote no to counter you. 480.
I'm going no. Sorry.
Okay.
Hospital people, I get
it. 480.
Oh,
wait, I jumped the gun on that one. Okay, let's back up.
No.
Back up. So this is Prop 480. This is the hospital one. I haven't weighed in much other than I brought a bunch of people on the program to give their opinions.
Yeah.
And I told you that Prop 480, this is for the hospital to rezone this chunk of land out there by the Flagstaff Airport or by Fort Tuthill, basically, from rural residential. Probably big houses on a big lot, basically. Picture it like that. That's what it's zoned right now. It's on the very outskirts of the city. And the council unanimously voted to approve this thing. Here's what pisses me off about this one and these council members. Most of these council members have been opposed to anything being like over 65 feet. Remember those student housing projects?
It was if it was more than 4 or 5 stories, or that was too high. That was
so tall. What's that McCarthy on there? Wasn't he opposed to all that?
Oh yeah,
and he ran on that, and then he votes to have a 160-foot override south of Flagstaff. Now, just a couple years ago, many of these same people voted to do an overlay on a bunch of existing properties in Flagstaff. The Goldwater Institute had to get involved with this. This is how slimy these people are. The Goldwater Institute had to get involved with this because existing property rights allowed you to say have 65 feet. And top of my head, I don't remember the exact footage, but 65 feet of height, right? The council came in and squashed it down to 45 feet on existing properties, which violated state law. But the government can violate the law because they have endless deep pockets. And we'll talk to Goldwater Institute this Thursday on this very subject with Rob Wilson and Timberline Firearms Training, another City of Flagstaff First Amendment violation alleged issue. They have unlimited pockets to tell you, screw you, Angela. Yeah. You got 65 feet. You now got 45 feet.
Right.
Okay. Go fight us. So you had to hire a lawyer and go fight them. They don't care. It's not their money,
and that's
right?
For a lousy 15, 20
They
feet,
voted to lower the height of existing properties within the city of Flagstaff. And then the same council, 6-0, one of them is actually a no. He wasn't there for that vote. Should have been there, but whatever. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, just south of Flagstaff, they voted to give them a waiver, 160 feet.
Right.
So
I can
Why
have
the hell do you get a
45.
waiver? You take my property from 65 to 45 feet. To hell with you, Jeff. You're just a little guy, and all you peons out there. And then the hospital, they say you get 160.
Right.
What is that?
So in the case of them dropping the height limit, that was especially annoying because it was zoned for the 60 feet or 65, whatever it was. Yeah. That was the zoning. That was what you were allowed. And they went and changed.
They just changed zoning. It. Yeah.
So this hospital one is not zoned for 160
It's
feet.
zoned for houses.
It's zoned for housing, for like rural residential housing. And 160 feet, I think that's my biggest hang up on this. I just can't get past it.
My hang up is and I hate to use the word equity or equitable, is the fact that all you little peon property owners out there got your height limit snatched by these politicians and bureaucrats, and then have to fight for it legally and spend money, and then they give a waiver.
The hospital just walks in
they
and
they get a waiver.
Want 3 to almost 4 times what I can have.
That frustrates me because the hospital should have come in and said, you know what, and he explained it on the show. He said it's bigger, easier for us to go up.
I get it.
They should have come in and gone wider and bigger and conform to kind of the community out there and what everybody's been up in arms about for so long. I told you all that I look at this as a zoning issue. Do you want little what's like John Mellon, little pink houses for me and you? Do you want little pink houses on bigger lots, which it's currently zoned for on the outskirts of the town, or do you want a big commercial development? That's what this is about. And if it had been just that, I probably would have voted yes to change that. But because the council so blatantly they're just hypocrites on this issue, and you get 45 feet, but you get an exception. I don't like exceptions. Do this. If they get 160 feet, it's like Oprah. You get a car. You get a car. I get 160 feet. And I shouldn't have to come in and fight for it. You already took away my height limits. So for that reason, and looking at what the property currently is zoned, I'm a no on 480.
I am too.
I'm pissed off that the city, did that and they give them an exception.
I did in fairness, I was like, one day I was a yes, one day I was a no. And then I was telling Jeff last night, I counted up 14 texts, 15 texts from the yes on 480
got pissed on the yes on 480
And I'm
people.
like, stop bugging me, okay? Not only the mailers, but the texts and stuff. It was like every time I got a text, I wanted to vote for it less and less.
Look.
I know that's petty, but it bugged me enough that I was like, you know what? I just stop bugging me about that.
I'm pissed about the disparity between what I get and what they're getting, and that they took away a property right of mine that we have to fight for legally now. And they gave it to somebody else, and that to me is, I hate that. I hate when cities give tax exemptions. I'm not saying this is the same case or anything, but the stadium gets to come in and they don't have to pay taxes because they're special, as if your small business ain't special. I hate that. That's where they blew it for me. And quite frankly, the hospital blew it too by not trying to conform a little bit. And I'm surprised more people didn't catch on to the 160-foot thing.
Yeah, I am
and really
too.
push it. All right, your thoughts. You may totally disagree, which is totally fine. And
that's fine.
And we will read that email. Good. And I got a bunch of emails piled up. I got Olivia scheduled for Wednesday because we went long yesterday. So we'll try to get to all of your comments. Let's see here. Timberline Firearms and Training, 5 minutes north of the Flagstaff Mall. Rob will be back with an interview at Goldwater Institute on Thursday, and then a special Q&A on guns on Friday. That one's going to be fun. I've got so many questions for Rob, including what to do with old, damaged ammunition. Everybody needs to know that.
It gets old and damaged. Well, I guess it gets damaged.
I got a damaged shotgun shell sitting right here. Timberline Firearms and Training has great training courses. I hope you'll take advantage of it, especially with the holidays coming up. You can get a great gift card out there for a loved one. Carry concealed courses. Angela's taken that. Very important one right there. Especially some private schools, they allow and encourage people to carry on their facilities with a CCW. Check with your school. Don't just assume.
Yeah, don't just walk on it.
Yeah, but that's some of the things that are happening that I think are really good. Great firearms, ammunition, safes, and of course their indoor shooting range, 5 minutes north of the Flagstaff Mall. Timberline Firearms and Training. Call them up. Book these training courses, 928-526-7900. 928-526-7900. Hang tight. Back in a minute. you're listening to the podcast, please give us a great review and also give us a comment in there. If you're not listening to the podcast, subscribe. Look up the Jeff Oravich Show. Also on video, Rumble, follow us there, and on YouTube, subscribe. We appreciate everyone who's done that.
This is the Jeff Oravich Show.
If you get a rock chip in your windshield, remember to always call Diamond Auto Glass first. That's what Angela and I have been doing for years. You fix that rock chip quick. It doesn't spread to the rest of your windshield. 928-779-4140. If you've had glass coverage with Diamond Auto Glass before, the rock chip repair is included. Just zip on in right there on 4th Street in Flagstaff. Takes 10 to 15 minutes. No appointment necessary. For everyone else, call 928-779-4140. That's 928-779-4140. Or go to thedifferenceisclear.com. Trick or treat.
Treat.
I don't know. It is Halloween out there, so be careful.
Lots of pedestrians in the road tonight.
What a great idea. You got kids running around in visually impaired outfits mostly.
And sometimes very dark.
In the dark.
Dark clothing.
Begging strangers for candy. Who thought of this stuff?
I know.
But anyway,
Weird.
Kids love it.
Yeah.
We'll be out there trick-or-treating. Owen's going out. Olivia's going to some party. They're splitting up.
Yeah.
The band's breaking up. They used to trick-or-treat together, but I guess that's what happens, right? I'm going to start crying. I have Mark Howitt coming up in hour 2. You know, he's been gone for almost
Is he
2
back
weeks.
or is he calling
No, he's back.
in? Oh,
no, he's back.
Okay.
So he's got a lot on his mind. We'll switch gears to some more statewide, more national, more international stuff. Nothing going on internationally, right? I mean, geez, oh my. So we'll be hitting on all that, so stick around. Comments, keep those piling up. I've got a lot, and I think we'll hit those on Wednesday's show with Olivia. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Angela's got to go and help with the costumes and start checking candy. Do we still do that? We still check things?
Well, I have to take my cut.
Yeah, take your cut. All right, hang tight. Back in a few.